basically always been the elephant in the room. But what I'd like to point out is that actually, if Indian cinema has respect worldwide, it basically comes from independent and mainly regional cinemas from many different languages in India.
Hmm.
And actually, the first Indian film that was international was in 1934. So that's like what, I don't know, 86 years ago. A film called Sita by Devaki Bose, a Bengali film with Prithviraj Kapoor and Durga Khote. And this actually won a certificate of an honor at the Venice Film Festival. And this is interesting because this is when sound had just come into our cinema. In 1931, we became talkies. And so quickly after that in 1934. So India was international practically from the word go, from the time talkies started. So we have a long history of being on the international festival circuit. Mainly, and our respect, as I said, has come from indie films, art house films in many, many languages, from Malayalam, Tamil, cinema, also Hindi, of course, but not necessarily. But Bollywood is a much more recent entrant. Some of the art house indie guys see it as an interloper that's become much more popular on the festival circuit in the last, say, 20, 30 years. And in fact, the term Bollywood is quite recent, not more than 20, 30 years also. It's a recent coinage, this phrase Bollywood. And I'll just mention a couple of films. I don't know, is that okay to just start off?
Yes, please.
So I'll just mention just one film each, and I have to really qualify my choices. I really like these films, and they're at top festivals worldwide. But the important consideration for this specific conversation is that they're available for you to see online. Now that, of course, leaves out a whole lot of very good films which may not be online right now. So, of course, it's not a representative list, but it's indicative, and it should just kind of to tease your taste in seeing very diverse films, actually from India and all over South Asia, which I will also bring into the conversation. So just a couple of quick, to give you a sense of where, regional language films have been accomplished. So in Hindi cinema is also it's one regional language. India makes films in 55 languages and dialects. Every year it's growing. Some years ago it was 40, then it was 45. Now it is 55 languages and dialects, which no country in the world has. So I would say some themes are just eternal and perennial to do with, say, poverty or human rights or romance or family dramas. And there are some issues that never go away as long as we're human. But a lot of issues have evolved. For example, in earlier decades, we had far more, say, films to do with feudalism, to do with landlords and exploitation of peasants, a lot of films, more films on the caste system. None of these things have gone away. There's still feudalism and there's still exploitation and there's still even more deep-rooted than our caste system, worse than ever. But I think the way we tell stories, the subjects have changed over the years, have also, let's say, there are more different subjects which are more of our time. For example, there are more films, I would say on gay and homosexual themes, for example, or environmental themes, which are not such a big issue some decades ago. Or, for example, we have far more films with very distinctive women's voices. There have been women's films for a long time, but many more coming out also in like political spaces, not only in family dramas or gender and sexuality issues, but also in a film like, say, Meghna Gulzar's Razi, for example, which is a woman's viewpoint of the war, or even Nandita Das's Firak, which is looking at the horrific Gujarat riots, but from a woman's viewpoint, in which she doesn't show a single scene of the actual riots, but the aftermath of the riots, the psychological aftermath of the riots, right? So far more voices like that. And then I would say, other than the subjects, I think the kind of storytelling has changed, the way we tell the narrative has changed. For example, if you take a film like, say, this exquisite film, Super Deluxe by Tyagaraja Kumar Rajan, right? So, I mean, it's such a mind-boggling film. It's like no film in Indian history is like that. It's just extraordinary by any stretch, and it's hard to actually describe it without actually seeing it. So it's a number of 3 or 4 stories that intersect, that that cross back and forth, are tied in actually. But in the end, so it's talking gender issues, it's talking of faith and religion, it's talking of that your mother can be a porn star. Do you have a problem? Why should you have a problem with that? So it's talking of marital infidelity. A lot of it's talking of I guess people have seen it by now. It's talking of a transgender. And top stars, from different regional cinemas with Vijay Sethupathi and Fahad Fazil and just many stars across languages. And at some level, it's like deeply philosophical as well. I mean, in the same film, and it's very, very funny as well. So thriller and just so many elements. It's just mind-bogglingly accomplished. So that's the kind of film it's just sui generis. It's in a, it's in a class by itself. But also a film like, say, Jallikattu by Lijo Jose Pellissieri in Malayalam, which has been at festivals worldwide. And then, so essentially it's about, a small community trying to catch a bull in order to have beef for a wedding, like for a feast, actually for a feast. And how the whole village family is chasing this bull. And of course, it's a metaphor for, this whole argument about beef. And, I just love the Malayalam filmmakers. They just, talk about politics in a way that should be very clear to whoever wants to open their eyes to it. But the point is that the film is just, as much as what it's saying is powerful, the way it is said is incredibly powerful. It's a very kinetic film. And there's a lot of responsibility on the cinematographer and the frenetic pace of the film, the editing. And it, it kind of propels the film forward and kind of drags you by the neck with it, drags you in the mud by your neck. It's so powerful and completely swallows you. So I think a lot of these kind of things, and I think a lot of this influence has come from digital technology, which has completely altered forever the way we make films and the way we tell them. Okay, so the first thing to be clear about is that each of these cinemas, so Tamil cinema, Malayalam, Bengali, Marathi, Assamese, all of these, they all have mainstream and they all have indie films, right? So it's not only Bollywood is mainstream and all the other guys are indie, no. Right? We have full on, I mean, what about Rajnikant? Is he doing only art house films? Like, come on, right?
Yes.
Or any of the big stars. Every cinema, every single language cinema has its own huge stars, including in Malayalam, in Tamil, in Marathi, Bengali, Assamese, all of these. And they also have independent art house films, right? So I think both of these are important. So I don't think the risk is lesser or greater in any of them. They all have the same risks. However, I think the intelligent thing to do is everything really is to do smart budgeting, which actually that logic is true also for mainstream masala films. You can make a 50 or 100 crore film, or you can make a, I don't know, a 1 crore film, right? But everything is to do with whether you're able to keep things within the budget and you're likely, in terms of how likely are you to recover, how easy it is for you to recover that, right? There are Malayalam films that are so well budgeted. Otal may be one of them. I'm not very sure, but like a lot of small, for example, Malayalam films and many other language films which have been on the festival circuit, they've not even really had big releases in India. They've had Totu-Motu releases. But their budget is so tightly made. I mean, they plan their homework so well that they have recovered their entire budget just on festival screening fees, on award prize money. बस उसमें ही सब निकल गया है. Imagine how tightly you must be budgeted. Like screening fees, like if the director or the star goes to the festival, then they don't pay you screening fees. If you've not come, then they can pay you screening fees. Some of them, not all, right? So on just this, if you're able to recover your cost, I mean, look at how cleverly. So I think in that sense, a lot of mainstream cinema, such as Bollywood, have a lot to learn from, say, Malayalam cinema. They make films and, I actually had emails from a filmmaker who was so embarrassed that he said he was so ashamed. He took 16 days to make a film and he had planned to make it in 14. And so bad, 2 days more. You cannot imagine a Bollywood filmmaker making a good film in like 16 days. And then they'll be edited and it'll be ready in 2 months flat. Like they'll give you a link ready to go to a festival in 2 months flat. That kind of extremely lean agility, right, is very hard to get otherwise. As well, of course. I mean, you just want a great story to begin with. That's the first and last criterion. It has to be great storytelling. But of course, this is what makes our culture unique is that, and just to remind filmmakers that the more local your story is, the more international it is, right? So at an earlier time, like also to come back to your earlier question about evolution of what is the evolution of films at festivals. In the earlier days, the way you would make an international film is by cutting out the songs and by having some goras in it somewhere. Some excuse to have a guy in a horrible blonde wig or actually some two-piece gora. Or poor Tom Alter cast as forever as a gora, poor guy. Although he had such a rich diversity of skills. And they thought if you put a gora or a blondie there, then that's international, right? Yeah. But of course we know, hopefully filmmakers know by now, you don't need that at all. And actually, like when did you last see an Iranian film with Goras in it, right? And they're completely international.
Absolutely.
In India, we've seen so many, right? When did you see a Korean film with Goras in it, right? So putting a Gora there, a blondie, simply doesn't make it international. You just stay true to yourself. Just tell the story you really want to tell. And in your own way, you'll find the way to that. It'll find its way into the world and make it international.
Hey guys, thanks for watching this video, and if you like what we do, follow us on our socials and check out our other uploads.